Dr. Scott, is the pharmaceutical industry just big business motivated by profit like any other business?
Well, sure, they're a business, and they want to make a profit, and I don't fault them for that.
The profit motive, I mean, that's
Sure,
elevated
yeah.
in this country.
And there's a great value in the profit motive. It does lead to lots of research, it leads to
Innovation.
new drugs, it leads to innovation. So yeah, I'm not critical of the pharmaceutical industry for those things.
Okay.
They make insulin. My
Right.
wife's a type 1 diabetic.
Okay.
She would not survive without that insulin. No, they do a lot of good. And I am not meaning to be overly critical of the pharmaceutical industry at all. What my concern is that there are areas of medicine where their work is tied to money and not to what's right and what's best for people.
Okay.
I think, for example, in my case, I developed a malaria. It's the only kind of malaria that can kill you, falciparum malaria, and Plasmodium falciparum malaria.
Okay.
And it can kill you within 24 hours, and it had the potential of killing me very quickly. I had been in Africa teaching and came back to Southern California. I was doing fine, visiting with my folks, and it was about bedtime. I started off to my bedroom, and between the kitchen and my bedroom, halfway between the two, all of a sudden, it hit me. You cannot believe how you can. I'd had a little bit of a headache, and I rarely will get a headache, so I knew I had a little bit of a funny feeling that day, but it's remarkable how dramatic the effect was when it really hit me.
Okay.
All of a sudden I started shaking, I mean violently shaking, and I knew immediately I had malaria. And so we have a friend in Uganda, Africa, called the friend and said, it's got to be malaria. She said, yeah, it's got to be malaria. And I went to the hospital and was so disappointed to find out that they had no malarial drugs other than quinine. Why? Because in Africa, poor Africa, I can get a host of different kinds of drugs that would have cured me of that malaria very quickly, that wouldn't have made me terribly ill. I had to take quinine here, and I was in bed for days. I couldn't move. It was terrible. Quinine is not a pleasant drug to be on.
Okay.
And I had to be on lots of quinine for days because American pharmaceuticals realized there's not a great demand here. We're not going to make a lot of money. We're not going to go after those drugs. So that's done overseas. So it's a money motive there to not make the drugs. In the area of antidepressants, antipsychotics, again, it's their #1 source of income. They know that the studies that are behind these drugs are full of manipulation, full of holes. They know that. You look exactly at some of the study designs, you look at the tricks of the trade, as I call it in one chapter in my book, Tricks of the Trade. Here are 10 things that they do. People are always shocked to find out that that's what occurred in those studies, to find out that the longest of those studies is only 8 weeks. These things amaze people. And so they know that their studies are not good studies, and yet, using those studies, they got approval of antidepressants, barely, passed by 1 vote. And then once the first one's approved, Prozac, the doors opened. And so now we have a host of antidepressants. But no, they know those drugs really are not better than a placebo. In fact, far worse, because a placebo is not going to cause liver disease. A placebo is not going to cause diabetes. A placebo is not going to cause tardive dyskinesia. So this is the problem. We need to be concerned about the pharmaceutical industry.
So that's just the good side, the bad side,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the
So they're in
pharmaceutical
business to
industry
make
does
money.
a lot of good. They provide a lot of drugs that we need. I appreciate them for that. But clearly, there's a profit motive here. Clearly, they're promoting drugs that should not be promoted, and they're doing it to make money. Clearly so.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Scott.